I love lighting. I'm almost not allowed in the back of my warehouse anymore because I'm always like, put more lighting. But I always want more like down lighting, up lighting, soffits thing. I
Exactly.
always want more. And a good example, I think, to what you're talking about is how all of this stuff turns from, design and visuals and senses into events and trade shows and brand activations is like,
Yeah.
think about like landscape lighting on homes in neighborhoods, right? When you have like uplighting on houses at night, like it gives this feel, it gives this sense. I don't even really know how to fully verbalize it, but it's an elevated feel.
Yeah, it is. And it's a way of controlling the eye too. Like if you
Yeah.
want to tell a story, if you want them to focus on a specific element, it's a great way to be able to take them through that journey without actually physically telling them to do it or using words to do it. You're kind of the eye just goes to where the lighting is. And I love being able to tell stories in creative ways. It's like a concert. When the lighting is choreographed with the sound, so the music, you can evoke emotions that you didn't even know you were about to feel when you're in a concert. Like I personally remember my very first concert I ever went to, because it really evoked emotions in me. And I was so wowed by the choreography between lighting and sound. It was amazing. Other examples are like weddings, really planning out the lighting that you have. So pin spot lighting. I don't.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways. Up lights, like there's different kinds of lights that you could do to tell a story. I think it's a critical piece of event design that sometimes does get overlooked because it can be expensive, and oftentimes you just don't have the budget to do that. But I think it's a critical part of event design.
Yeah. I mean, I think the extra steps are worth it. I think about time we built a trade show booth. It was a company that manufactured dog food, and their whole thing was like fresh ingredients. And it was this whole thing. So we ended up, building like a produce section in the front of the exhibit, and we put
Oh,
fresh
that's
produce in
awesome.
it every day. And it was like sprayed with like cool water. It had the feel, the look, the smell, the whole thing of like being in a grocery store with fresh produce, where it was misting, had like the mist a little
Yeah,
bit
that's
to it. And it's just those things help connect the dots for people on who
yeah.
you are and, what you do.
It's like pop-up stores. If you have clothing or whatever it might be, and you're an e-commerce business and people really want to touch and feel and use those senses that they have, that's why pop-up stores do so well. Or if you have a
Yeah.
product that you want people to sample, maybe having some products to sample at a show also helps to resonate, and that creates that memory, like, oh yes, I went to the show and I tried the product and I know I love it, rather
Mhm.
than just talking about it.
Yeah. I think those extra steps are absolutely worth it. I'm always telling people you have to be thinking this way. And, not like too big of a rant, but I think trade shows in particular on the B2B side, the world's changed a lot. And, 10 years ago, people went to trade shows because it was a third party place where like you just sort of, you had to go to be there because, the internet hadn't matured to where it's matured to now. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
so it was like the value of being there was this congregation. It still is to a degree, but
Yeah.
because of the maturity and the platforms and the technology, the trade shows are different. So you have to go that extra step. You cannot just show up. You can't just show
No.
up with a booth and be like, hey, this is our booth. It looks like
No.
800 other booths here, but you got to take
Exactly.
these extra steps and you can engage your customer and you can win them over in those spaces.
Yeah, how are you going to stand out? I mean,
Yep.
if you can again put yourself in their shoes and the attendees' shoes and look at things through their perspective, if they're going through 200 booths a day, how are they going to remember you? It's sensory overload for anyone that's been
Yeah.
at a trade show. It's everything is so over the top that you get so stimulated where it's easy to forget about what you've seen even. So if you're not doing the extras to stand out amongst
Yeah.
800 other booths, then you're going to get forgotten and lost in the end.